working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines. The Philippine Navy's Naval Forces Northern Luzon is now conducting humanitarian assistance and disaster relief missions for families severely affected by Typhoon Ramon earlier this week. Myanmar's civilian leader and Nobel Peace Laureate Aung San Suu Kyi will head up a delegation to the UN's top court to defend a case accusing the mainly Buddhist country of genocide against Rohingya Muslims, the government said Wednesday, a decision that blindsided observers. The trade dispute between China and the United States is seen as the biggest risk to the region's financial stability, according to the Asian Development Bank. The Philippine Navy's Naval Forces Northern Luzon is now conducting humanitarian assistance and disaster relief missions for families severely affected by Typhoon Ramon early this week. In a statement Wednesday, Lieutenant Commander Maria Cristina Rojas, Philippine Navy Public Affairs Office Chief, said personnel and assets from NFNL who are based at Naval Base Camilo Ocias in Santa Ana, Cagayan, has already provided proactive response before the arrival of the typhoon. She also said that HADR mitigation plans include distribution of relief goods to 52 affected families at Barangay Kapanikian, and residents of Kasambalangan, Limbus, and Dumasag were advised to evacuate and were brought to different designated evacuation areas like Tangatan Gymnasium and Santa Ana Gymnasium. NFNL also immediately dispatched 2 teams which acted as a support agency to Barangay Kasagan. Other personnel meanwhile were deployed at the municipal gymnasium to provide logistics and resources, observe and maintain security in the area, and helped in the delivery of relief goods in the affected areas. Rojas said NFNL continues to monitor the situation to include nearby provinces such as Isabela, Batanes, and Ilocos region for possible deployment and search and rescue operations. Sara has intensified into a severe tropical storm Thursday as tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 is hoisted over Batanes and Babuyan Islands. In its 5 a.m. severe weather bulletin, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration said Sara would bring light to moderate rains with some isolated heavy rain showers over Metro Manila, most of central Luzon, the provinces of Isabela and Cagayan, Aurora, and northern Quezon. At 4 a.m., Sara was last spotted at 425 kilometers east-northeast of Apari, Cagayan. It is moving northwest or north-northwest at 25 kilometers per hour with maximum sustained winds of 95 kilometers per hour near the center and a gustiness of up to 115 kilometers per hour. Sara is forecast to weaken over the weekend and exit the Philippine area of responsibility on Saturday. A shallow 6.1 magnitude earthquake hit northwestern Laos near the Thai border early Thursday. The United States Geological Survey reported alarming locals who felt buildings shake as far as Bangkok. Fortunately, there were no immediate reports of damage after the quake hit at 6:50 a.m. Wednesday, but tremors could be felt more than 700 kilometers or 435 miles away in the Thai capital, where Pope Francis is currently on a 4-day visit. The department said the quake affected 9 provinces in Thailand and there were 4 lesser aftershocks. It also became a top trending topic on Twitter in Thailand. Residents in the Vietnamese capital Hanoi also reported that they felt buildings sway. It hit about 3 hours after a 5.7 magnitude earthquake struck the same region of Laos near the site of the large Shayaburi Dam project, which reported no damage so far. Myanmar civilian leader and Nobel Peace Laureate Aung San Suu Kyi will head up a delegation to the UN's top court to defend a case accusing the mainly Buddhist country of genocide against Rohingya Muslims, the government said Wednesday, a decision that blindsided observers. West African nation Gambia is due to open its case before the International Court of Justice in December on behalf of the 57 member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The complaint accuses Myanmar of breaching the 1948 UN Genocide Convention through its brutal military campaign in 2017, which targeted the Rohingya minority in Rakhine State. In the opening hearings, the small majority Muslim African country is expected to ask the court to make an emergency injunction to protect the Rohingya, pending a decision on whether to deal with the wider case. The case will be the first international legal attempt to bring Myanmar to justice over the Rohingya crisis and is a rare example of a country suing another over an issue to which it is not directly a party. The country has repeatedly justified the crackdown on the Rohingya as necessary to stamp out militants and insists its own committees are adequate to investigate allegations of abuse. Some 740,000 Rohingya were forced to flee into sprawling camps in Bangladesh after the brutal 2017 military crackdown in violence that United Nations investigators concluded amounted to genocide. The billionaire frontman of Thailand's anti-military bloc was stripped of his MP status on Wednesday over a media shareholding case, a court ruling that could lead to him being banned from politics and jailed for up to 10 years.
นะครับข้อสันนิษฐานที่ศาลรัฐธรรมนูญยกขึ้นมาในการอ่านคำพิพากษากรณีคุณสมบัติการเป็นสสของผมทั้งหมดตั้งอยู่บนข้อสันนิษฐานไม่มีข้อเท็จจริงที่เป็นวิทยาศาสตร์มาหักล้างหลักฐานพยานที่พวกเรานำเสนอได้ But there's still lots of work to be done. I still have to campaign for the amendment of the Constitution. I still have to campaign for the end of the military conscription bill that we have tabled to the parliament last week. So as a leader of this political party,
Thanathorn Joangrong Ruangkit and his upstart Future Forward Party rode a youth-propelled wave in March elections, making it the third largest in the country and alarming the establishment. The outspoken 40-year-old connected with thighs weary of the army's role in Thailand's turbulent politics, which has been at least 12 coups since 1932. But since the vote, he has battled legal cases and was suspended from parliament earlier this year after accusations he held shares in a media company when he registered as a candidate. He denied the charges and said they are politically motivated, but judges at the Constitutional Court ruled against him on Wednesday, calling his evidence suspicious and revoking his MP status. His removal means the Election Commission could bring criminal charges that carry serious penalties, including a political ban and imprisonment.
On November 23, we are opening our doors to you for the ultimate EBC experience. Enjoy performances from your favorite OPM artists and meet our talented reporters, hosts, and DJs too. Experience hosting, reporting, camera handling, and more in our interactive booths. Visit exhibits of various products, innovative business solutions, and even job openings featured in our trade fair. For small and medium enterprises, learn tips and tricks at the Business Forum on entrepreneurship and technology. Also avail of fast and hassle-free services from our government agency partners such as the PSA, SSS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth, and more. Admission is free, so bring the whole family. Learn, dine, and experience the EBC Open House and Trade Fair. EBC Open House and Trade Fair is sponsored by LBC Express Incorporated, Becky's Ice Dream, Royal Care Marketing Services, Ayala Land International Sales Incorporated, Nature Spring, Just Payroll, Andox Lechon Manok, Tempra by Taisho Pharmaceuticals Philippines Incorporated, Go Hotels, Manila Airport Road, North EDSA, Cubao Ermita and Timog, Micaela, Bags, Shoes, Wallet and Umbrella, Style meets versatility, and PLDT Enterprise.
Welcome back. President Rodrigo Duterte on Wednesday sternly warned the courts against issuing a temporary restraining order or TRO on his latest directive to stop the use and importation of vaping devices and electronic cigarettes or e-cigarettes nationwide. In a speech delivered during the 80th anniversary of the Department of National Defense at Camp Aguinaldo in Quezon City, the president told the judiciary that he would not honor TROs that may be issued against his imposition of total ban on vaping. The president issued the warning just a day after he prohibited the use and importation of vaping devices all throughout the country. Duterte's ban order came following the first reported case of an illness related to vaping involving a 16-year-old girl from Central Visayas who allegedly complained of sudden onset severe shortness of breath after using e-cigarettes for 6 months. Duterte in his latest speech told the courts not to meddle in his decision to forbid the use of vaping devices. E-cigarettes, which vaporize a solution that users inhale, became popular among Filipinos who think it was a healthier alternative to regular cigarettes. The president maintained that he had to prohibit e-cigarettes in the country because vapors, including youth, do not realize the dangers of puffing it. He also reiterated his order to the state forces to arrest anyone who will defy his order.
This will wake you up. I will ban it. I will ban it. The use and the importation. I hope everybody is listening. Relay na lang. You know why? Because it is toxic. And the government has the power to issue measures to protect public health and public interest. You know, ang cigarette, the confirmed chemical there that's not good for humans, it's deadly, it's nicotine. It uses a habit forming, and it is toxic, and it kills people. And even the Surgeon General of the United States said that it will cause cancer. That's why it is there on the side of it will cause cancer. Now, itong vaping, sabi nila, is electronic. Don't give me that shit. Better stop it because I will order your arrest if you do it in a room. I am now ordering the law enforcement agencies to arrest anybody, ang tawag niyan, vaping in public.
President Duterte has signed a proclamation creating an information technology or ID hub in his hometown, Davao City, as part of his administration's efforts to create more job opportunities for Filipinos. Under Proclamation 844, Duterte designated 30,602 square meters of land located in San Antonio Village in Davao City as an IT park or special economic zone. The IT park will be known as the Davao Park District based on the presidential proclamation signed on November 15. Special economic zones are defined as selected areas with highly developed areas or which have the potential to be developed into agro-industrial, industrial tourist, or for recreational, commercial, banking, investment, and financial centers according to Republic Act 7916 or the Special Economic Zone Act of 1995. An eco-zone may contain industrial estates, export processing zones, free trade zones, and tourist or recreational centers. Property developer Mega World will be allocating 15 billion pesos to build and develop the Davao Park District, its first prime township in Mindanao, by attracting its clients and different companies to invest in the project. The trade dispute between China and the United States is seen as the biggest risk to the region's financial stability, according to the Asian Development Bank. The ADB earlier said its forecast for developing Asian economies like the Philippines has dimmed because of U.S.-China trade tensions, the sharp contraction in electronics, and weaker investments. The Manila-based Multilateral Development Bank said escalating trade tensions could affect as much as 77% of U.S. exports to China and 99.3% of China's exports to the U.S. by year-end. ADB chief economist Yasuyuki Sawada said in the Asia Bond Monitor, quote, "The ongoing trade dispute between the People's Republic of China and the United States and a sharper than expected economic slowdown in advanced economies and PRC continue to pose the biggest downside risks to the region's financial stability." However, Sawada said the easing of monetary policies in advanced economies is helping keep financial conditions stable. He said emerging East Asia's local currency bond market posted steady growth during the third quarter of 2019. AmpFirst, the newly established gaming and esports media company, announces the launch of the AmpFirst Creator Fund, a fund dedicated to champion and reward gaming and esports talent across Southeast Asia. In line with AmpFirst's vision to build an ecosystem that enables a community of gaming influencers, E27.co reports that esports talents and professional teams maximize their full creative and commercial potential. The fund will recognize the influence and contribution of gaming talent signed with AmpFirst through offering a regular dividend in addition to normal fees. AmpFirst said it also works with brands to create entertainment content with formats that are unique to gaming across in 3 units of Creator Network, talent, management, and publishing.
Soccer, the world's favorite sport. And it's no wonder. Spectacular goals. And plenty of emotion. The best of game day. Kickoff.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action. Welcome back. While there was an agreement on the important role of education for unity and security in the region, it was only in 1992, during the fourth meeting of the ASEAN heads of governments in Singapore, that where their efforts for greater cooperation in education. One outcome of this was the establishment of the ASEAN University Network in 1995. AUN's strategic focus built on those identified by ASEAN to facilitate regional cooperation in developing. To strengthen the existing network of cooperation among universities in ASEAN and beyond, to promote collaborative study, research and educational programs in the priority areas identified by ASEAN, and to promote cooperation and solidarity among scholars, the academe and researchers in the ASEAN member states, and to serve as the policy-oriented body in higher education in the ASEAN region. Take a look.
Establishing an ASEAN university, as it were, really started when the education ministers in this region sat down for the first time in 1977. So in the past, of course, it was to support the main goals of ASEAN, which are about peace and stability and economic progress and social development. And the role of education was one of the vehicles, the sectoral vehicles to support the furthering of these regional objectives and goals that were enunciated since 1967. Along the way, of course, with the enunciation of the ASEAN Community 2015 and the three community pillars, political security, economic, socio-cultural, the role of education has also been to see how it can be a part of and to support ASEAN integration.
The ASEAN University Network began with 11 universities, and as ASEAN expanded, so did the AUN. It has since grown to become a highly visible organization with a membership of 30 universities, all of whom are nominated by the respective ASEAN member states. By serving as a policy-oriented body for higher education in the region and by fostering cooperation in research and teaching, the network seeks to strengthen the quality of human resource development and higher education across ASEAN.
So at this point in time, it's really about getting the leading universities in the region to sit down and network together, talk about issues that will have to be resolved in terms of credit transfers, accreditation, even syncing the academic semesters, and of course facilitating student exchanges and mobility, cross-border mobility for students, as well as seeing how the different academic disciplines in all these universities can also support the ASEAN integration goals and prepare the young people for professional or workplace mobility.
While there is much work to be done to realize the full potential of cooperation in education, universities in the network have benefited from their membership. The National University of Singapore is one of 3 universities representing Singapore in the AUN and has been part of the AUN since its formation 21 years ago.
We are very much part of Southeast Asia, and it's important to get to know our neighbors, the universities in our vicinity. Yeah, I think AUN has tremendous impact because we are working with young people. We're working with the top echelon of society, the people who will be the business, political leaders of tomorrow. And if we at this level can give our students favorable impressions and favorable working relationships within the region, I think it bodes well for ASEAN and Southeast Asia.
Besides institutions of higher learning, efforts have been made to promote ASEAN awareness at all levels of the education system in member countries. After the 11th ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur in 2005, ASEAN education ministers identified 4 priorities in education cooperation. An outcome of this was the development of the ASEAN Curriculum Sourcebook as a tool to advance an understanding of the ASEAN identity, as well as to develop in young people a better understanding of the diversity of cultures across the region.
The motivation always was to provide a reference source for teachers in primary and secondary schools mainly to be able to impart what is it about ASEAN to their students. And of course this takes different forms. So rather than developing it as a curriculum and requiring countries to straight away put it into their national curricula, it has always been the intention to provide it as a teaching resource. And the curriculum sourcebook's main intention was to help foster that sense of the identity of being part of the region, what it means to have that kind of the cultural identity.
The extent to which the ASEAN Curriculum Sourcebook has been introduced and used differs across member nations. A major challenge is that while agreements to cooperate at the regional level are reached, individual countries still have to balance regional commitments with national priorities and interests.
It is in the interest of every ASEAN member state to maintain ASEAN as a united and strong organization. A weak and disunited ASEAN serves nobody's interest. All of us in ASEAN, all 10 of us, serve two sets of interests, our national interest and ASEAN regional interest. And I think when this is true of all countries, and our first foreign minister, Mr. Rajaratnam, said this in a seminal speech he made 45 years ago in August 1967.
Nonetheless, cooperation in the field of education has laid foundations of peace and stability in the region. Efforts such as developing an ASEAN curriculum and introducing ASEAN studies in schools, or even the setting up of an ASEAN university, has not only helped to bring people together, but also forged a sense of regional identity.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and I'm one with 25.